So recently I watched Staycation's video about the best defense in the finals. I want to give additional information and context on their team setup and how they play that team setup. And I also want to give my own opinion about the best defensive setup and how to play that setup. Quick rank check. I am ranked 267 on the world leaderboard, and I hope to get top 200 by next week. And I'm also interested in looking at your guys' clips and might make a video out of them. So if you're interested in that, please join my Discord and send those clips in the clip review channel. I would really appreciate that. And you can also watch my stream and me playing ranked on my Twitch, and I'll leave both of these links in the description below. Let's get into the video. So if we look at Staycation's team setup, we have a healing medium with FCAR, gas grenade, APS turret, defibrillator, and for the second medium we have sort of the same thing but two major differences. So healing beam, FCAR, gas mine, zip line, and then defibrillator. And then for the final we have a heavy with charge and slam, Lewis gun, C4, dome shield, barricade. And Staycation did mention that the Lewis gun can be switched out for the shotgun, so we'll keep that in mind. So here we have all of the loadouts in one paint image, and here are the items that I think are somewhat questionable, and I'm going to get to why. Starting with the gas grenade, I don't really see the reason to run gas grenade when you already have gas mine. Not only that, you only get one gas grenade, so you can only use it once every time the cooldown resets. While the gas mine, you can have two, and the only real main benefit of gas grenade is having the ability to throw it at very far ranges. And even then, I don't think that really helps this team that much, especially when most of your setup is built around the barricades and around defending. So this assumes that you're pretty close to the objective already, so gas grenade won't really be necessary. And the only downside of using mines over gas grenade is basically you have to shoot the mine, I guess, if you're trying to use it like a gas grenade. But I don't think that's such a big deal because you get two of them. I think gas mine is just better generally because you can just place it where you want. And in Staycation's video, he uses the gas grenade in situations where you could have just used the gas mine also. So it's a little bit confusing on how he wants to use a gas grenade within this setup. And the next thing I want to talk about is the use of double healing beam. And one healing beam is definitely fine. That's probably the best thing you could do. But double healing beam is a little bit weird, I feel like, because if you have two healing beams, a lot of the times you'll have situations where both of the healers are healing and you only have the heavy doing damage, which is not ideal because eventually you're just going to be losing damage over time, and eventually your team is just going to be stuck in a loop of having to heal rather than do damage. So I would prefer to have only one healer, but that also puts you at the risk of having to rely on that one healer to stay alive most of the time, which is a pretty bad negative, but it is a sacrifice that I think needs to be made. On the other side, if you have two healers, your healers don't need to play as safe because if they take damage, they can just be healed by the other healer. So their health isn't, I guess, set in stone. But if you have one healer, then you also open up the opportunity to have another ability such as Recon Senses or Sentry Turret. And either of these options are great. The sentry turret, you can just place it and you'll get value depending on where you place it. Place it on the cash out site. You'll know when the enemies are on the cash out box. All you have to do is place the turret and then that's it. You can go shoot people. You can use your utility without having to worry about anything. The problem with the healing beam is that you have to pull out the healing beam to heal. So that means you can't be using your gadgets or you can't be shooting your gun, which is always a bad trade-off. And on the other side, Recon Senses, that's also a great specialization because you can use that whenever you want. It's great for before the fight. It's great during the fight. And it's also great after the fight when you need to make macro decisions. But the biggest thing about the Recon Senses is that it's uncounterable. So what does that mean? That means that no matter what the enemy does, they can't counter Recon Senses. All you have to do is activate Recon Senses and they get exposed. They can't do anything to stop that. Healing Beam, there's definitely counterplay to healing beam. You focus the healers or you burst the heavy so the healing beam can't do enough healing. And for sentry turret, you can just break the turret or you can go to cover. There's counterplay, plenty of counterplay. One goo ball counters turret. I can get to that in another video, but double healing is definitely not worth it considering the other specializations are so easy to use and give so much value in return. But I do think healing beam is required on a team just because you can heal when regen cannot. So if the medium problem's gone, I kind of want to talk about the heavy. So there's a lot of issues I have with the heavy. 3 in fact, charge and slam. So I don't really see how charge and slam really fits into this. Staycation says that charge and slam is used to like push people off the point, which is fine. Like that's the default use of charge and slam, and I'm fine with that. But I don't see how it fits into this whole comp. Like, how does a double heal really help you with charge and slam, or how does charge and slam help the healers in any way? I just don't really see how charge and slam is super beneficial or really combines well with this team comp. Well, it's okay to do it for defense, but there are other specializations that might be better for defense, like mesh shield and goo gun, which are the other two. I think both of them are better for defense. I would only take charge and slam if you're going to use it to break buildings or use it in more ways than just pushing people off the site. Goo gun is just really good for just defending anything, to be honest. And this is why I would run Goo gun over anything else if you're just solely trying to get the best defense. And on top of that, you can use Goo gun to create platforms for turrets. You can use Goo gun to stop enemies, like defusing, and Goo gun is just so good. You can use it in so many ways. Like, I'm going to make a video about Goo gun, and I want to show you everything about how to use Goo gun. Mesh shield is also good too, because like both of your teammates are mediums. If you mesh shield, they won't have to heal, and they can just shoot behind your mesh shield, and that's great because they have both medium range weapons like FCAR or AKM, which is great for defending. But that also brings me back on to my next point about the Lewis gun. I'm not really a fan of running 3 long to medium range weapons on a team because you're really missing out on the extra damage you could be doing with the short range weapons. So I like having a balance between long range and short range, and right now Heavy has the best short range weapon in the game so far, the shotgun. So I would prefer the Heavy would run shotgun, because then you're sort of balancing out your short range damage and your long range damage, with the mediums being able to compensate for that long to medium range damage, while the Heavy can be favorable in the short range damage. Final point about the barricade. I think the barricade is such a niche. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think the barricade is very great. And after watching this video, I actually tried the barricade out, and I just couldn't find a way to use it very effectively. Whereas like the other gadgets such as RPG would be a lot better for defending than the barricade, I feel like. Because when you're defending, you're not just standing still in one spot, because you have to move a lot more. Because since this game is so dynamic, the cash out is moving constantly. You have to move constantly to be able to win fights. And if you're just standing there with an APS, barricade, dome shield, that's fine. But like, you're still going to have to move at some point. And when you move, you're going to be separated from your team. I think the best strategy is just not to run barricade and just run RPG. And so that concludes my section of the video talking about the issues I have with Staycation's team setup. And that brings me to my next point about analyzing some of Staycation's clips. This first clip, we have Staycation's team in the hotel of Skyway Stadium, and they're doing their strategy with barricade, APS, dome shield, just fine. They get a pick, and they're playing right next to the cash out site. And when someone enters their dome, they have to kill them, and then they get charged and slammed off. Once their like setup breaks, they're all separated. There's not much they can do. Everyone's dead, and then soon everyone's going to be dead, and it's not going to be very easy for them to defend. And they had already lost the cash out by this point anyways. So what I suggest, like, when you're playing like this, I suggest just setting up multiple floors under the cash out, or even one floor under the cash out is fine. And basically the idea is, like, when you're playing under the cash out, the assumption is that you have a C4 on the cash out. So when someone's pressuring the cash out, you can explode the C4, make it go down a floor to where you are at, and then you can hold the same position you were holding just on the lower floor, and you've wasted a lot of time. Or you can play multiple floors under the cash out and have C4 on the cash out and blow it. Assuming that your C4 already recharged after wasting so much time, you can throw another C4 on the floor under the cash out and blow that one when the cash out gets hit again. You can stall multiple seconds and keep your defensive setup intact while also avoiding third parties. So when enemies are trying to attack the cash out, they're always focusing on where the cash out is, not specifically where you are. So if they don't know where you are, they're more likely to fight other people that are going for the cash out than you, because all of these teams are going for the same objective while you're playing multiple floors under the objective. And that's how I would play this cash out a lot better than what Staycation does, because it's less likely for you to get separated from your team and things like that. In this clip, I'm not really sure what's happening here, but Staycation is calling for the team to blow the cash out down. I'm guessing the idea is that they want to play above the cash out, but in practice, this doesn't really work that well, because now if they're playing above it, the enemies are going to come from above, and they're just going to get hit from behind and in front, and possibly even from below if the enemies come through the bottom way. So I'm not really sure what the play is here, but in here you can see they start getting shot from behind because the enemies come from above usually. So it doesn't really make sense to be playing above with them, especially if there's multiple teams. And here you can see that they're double healing, which puts all the pressure on the heavy to do damage, which is fine if your heavy can actually do the damage. But like, they're also not running RPGs, so that's one less gadget that can do damage. A barricade and dome shield is just too much defense, not enough offense on this team, at least in my opinion. But that is the point of this video, is to do defense. But like, sometimes defense is better with offense because if you kill the enemies, they can't attack you. So in this final clip I'm going to analyze, this is probably the best setup for this type of defense. So what I'm saying is like on the moving platform cash outs, like the setup that they have right now is probably the best because not only are you going to get shot a ton of times being on the moving platform in this wide open area, you can use the barricade to block all these possible shootout spots, but you can also just heal the chip damage because you have double heal while also hiding behind the barricades and such. And not only that, since you're on a moving platform, you're in a pretty open area where all three of you guys are able to shoot because you're not running shotgun. So this is probably the best situation you can put yourself in with this type of setup. But I do have to say, like, this defensive setup is not great for every cash out site. And there's 3 different types of cash out sites. The ones that are way open, it's like right in the middle of Monaco. There's a ruins cash out, building cash outs, which are very short range and very dependent on how you use the floors. And then there's the third one where there's like a combination, like for example on Seoul, the under construction building in the middle of the map. That is a good example of a mid-range type of cash out where there could be fights close range and there could be fights long range-ish. And I would say Staycation's team comp is really long range dependent while also being like super stationary. So like not very great for like short range encounters, but like definitely on the better side on the long range cash outs for sure. We're being constrained to the double medium one heavy setup. I think this is the best loadout you guys can do. So for the first medium, we have recon senses, or you can do turret, either works. If you do turret, you can combo with the heavy, with goo gun or barricades if you want to use barricades. Generally, I think recon senses is really good because there's no counterplay. Because we're using recon senses, we're going to give this medium a lot more gadgets that require time to use. So stuff like explosive mine and gas mine. And the reason why I choose explosive mine and gas mine together, because you can put gas mine on the cash out, and you can also put an explosive mine on the cash out. So when the explosive mine explodes, it will explode the gas mine also, which is a good combo to have. But you don't want to put both explosive mines on the cash out, because if you do 2 explosive mines, it will blow the floor on the cash out earlier than expected, and you don't want to do that. And another thing you can do is like, you don't have to put any explosive mine on the cash out, and you can try a different strategy of just putting an explosive mine on the first floor so you know when an enemy is going up the stairs, or you can put explosive mine just somewhere else near the cash out where there's going to be a lot of traffic, which is also good. And generally, I would put just one gas mine on the cash out at the beginning, and then you can put another gas mine like on the floor below, so the gas would go up, something like that. That's really good. And for the second medium, we are going to do healing beam. So with the healing beam medium, you're going to want to do gadgets that are not typically used like all the time. So because you always want to have more time to do healing than having to do other gadgets and stuff. So the gadgets we chose for this one are APS turret, which is good because you want to place that before the fight usually, and then you can use your healing beam during the fight, and then you're going to use zip line. So this zip line is also good because you can use that before the fight and you usually use that after the fight. And finally for the heavy, here's what we're going to do. I prefer goo gun, but mesh shield is definitely the easier option. And the mesh shield pairs very well with the shotgun, because when you're mesh shielding, usually you're moving closer towards the enemy with the shield, or you're backing up because they're pushing you. And once you get to that close range, the shotgun is going to be a lot more effective than the Lewis gun. Using the mesh shield to help your teammates and help yourself is very good with the shotgun. But I do recommend using the goo gun, but there's a very high skill ceiling on the goo gun, and it's already kind of difficult to use because you can easily hurt yourself by using goo gun, by getting yourself stuck in goo and stuff like that. But I do recommend not using barricade, instead using RPG, because when you're out of C4s, you can use the RPG to knock down the cash out site for offense and defense. And I recommend using Dome Shield and C4. These 3 gadgets are like the meta gadgets for heavy. I can't really say you'd be really good on moving platforms, but if you're running goo gun, you can just goo the cash out on the ground, so yeah, you don't have to play on the moving platforms. I like this setup because it really is balanced in the way that you can hold buildings and you can hold not buildings. So I think it's really balanced in that way. So that concludes my video about the #1 defense setup. And if you liked the video, please like and subscribe. If I get 1,000 likes in this video, I will make another video the next day. All right, no slacking. But yeah, I really appreciate the support, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.
A long-awaited return to the arena for the Boundless.
Yeah, how are we supposed to get that, buddy?
I got it.
Diamond 1.
What? What?
Yeah, we're gonna trust in our throws. We're Diamond 1.
Yeah, we're freaking Diamond 1, bro. Like,
I don't even think your throw would go. Like, I don't even think you're trusting your own throw.
what?
This guy doesn't know how many times you threw the vaults.
Dude, I swear I swear I would do it, bro.
Oh, don't do it, bro.